I'm really sorry to end the playing so abruptly there. I promise I'm going to have more in-depth videos with this one soon. So if there's anything that you'd like to know or hear, just let me know in a comment. I'll be happy to cover it. Today what I wanted to do was just plug it into Helix Native and gather some first impressions. Those first impressions are that it feels amazing, and it sounds good too. Considering that I'm plugging into Helix Native's generic tones that I've dialed in, I think it's promising. I know it can sound better though, so I'm really excited to get into that because I can tell these pickups are very, very dynamic and touch sensitive, just as they say. The boost is a bit overwhelming at this point, so that's presented some challenges, but I'm confident that once I get the time to sit down and dial in tone specifically for this, it can sound incredible. So I'm looking forward to that in those future videos. Again, if you're new here and you are interested in those, I really do hope you'll stick around for them. If you're a subscriber or a returning viewer though, this video is really for you. I don't plan on making a habit out of vlogs or whatever this is. It's just been a really long time since I've uploaded a video, and I feel like I owe you all an update. July 2021 to July 2022 was a really terrible year for me. Things have been going well. I made those Squire videos. Those were so much fun for me, and I had a lot of fun with those guitars. I got into making the video with the Damascus Telecaster. Loved that guitar. The day after I filmed that unboxing, I ran into some vehicle problems though. Nothing major. It's something that I needed to prioritize and deal with right then and there. As I was dealing with that though, a break-in happened at my dad's business. That was obviously a super upsetting experience for my entire family. So it was important for me to be able to be there, put that first, and deal with all of the police and lawyers and insurance and all that stuff. I'll spare you the details. A few weeks after that though, my family's garden gets killed. And at that point, I started running on fumes. It was bad enough to deal with the loss of a season's food and just the garden, because I love gardening. Everything surrounding that incident was just as bad. Legally, I don't think I can get into that right now. I can't provide any more details. Or at least I don't think I should. That's an ongoing situation. Maybe one day I can talk about it. It would be cathartic, but for now I'll be moving on to the next thing. And I hate to be a downer, but it just kept getting worse because then my dog got ran over. She's fine now, but she went through a lot. She spent a couple of weeks recovering from the accident, and then I brought her home, and then found out from the road rash under her hair, she developed a staph infection. She lost 3/4 of the skin on her back and was in doggy ICU for a month. So by the time she was back home, it was October. And then my toilet broke, because of course it did. So I learned how to replace a toilet. Let me know if you want to see a video on that. At that point, it's the holiday season, so I get involved in decorating and, more importantly, spending time with my friends and family. After the summer that I'd had, I really needed that. So then we get into 2022. The channel reaches 1,000 subscribers, which is all thanks to you. I really appreciate that, by the way. And so I know then it's time for me to move forward and get into these giveaways and uploading regularly again. And that led to an entire other guitar-related situation that I'll make another video on in the future, because that's pretty wild as well. But that ate up a couple of months. And adding to all of that, my mom had some health concerns present themselves. That really affected me for all the obvious reasons internally, and just logistically following up on all of that involved a lot of traveling. Thank God everything's fine though. There's nothing to worry about. So that was that. And by this point it's July 2022. And then I'm at one of my lowest points. I'm honestly scared to touch anything because I've been filming a lot of stuff throughout the year, but whenever I would sit down to edit it or post it or take the next step, something would go wrong. So I decided I'm just going to take a break. I started doing this when I was 16 for guitaraction.net, and then I had my stint at Audio Fanzine. That ultimately led to controllerism.com, where I was for a number of years, and had my breakthrough, so to speak.
See on a keyboard or like push or something like that, so you can play it that way. Or you can play the grid like a drum rack. And your faders will control different parameters depending on which mode. And UF3 is at a velocity output level of 64. Keeping with the theme.
I'm 29 now, and I felt like it was just time for me to step away from focusing on the gear side of things, and quite frankly, the video side of things, because I've been making videos for the same amount of time. But a few days after that, to my surprise, I get a phone call to film a PSA for a government agency, and that caught me off guard at a not great time in my life, but I said yes. And the next morning I wake up early, I've got to cut grass before I go film this thing. I'm checking my email, and I see that hours after I'd had that call the previous day, I had an email come through that was a dream come true. It was from Billy, the director of partnerships at Zounds. So we set up a phone call, had a great phone call, and now I'm excited to announce that I'm partnered with Zounds. It means so much to me because beyond the obvious material reasons, Zounds is legit my preferred retailer. And in fact, the first guitar-related order I ever placed when I was 12 was through Amazon. It was for a guitar from Rondo Music and these picks from Zounds. I'm actually using one of those picks because I still kept them in the playthrough that preceded this part in the video. My first drum kit was from Zounds. And just as I moved forward in my life in music, I've always used Zounds. Selfishly, one of their warehouses is like 2 hours from me, so I get free overnight shipping on everything by default, which is definitely very nice. I say all this because I want to be as transparent as possible. There might be some Zounds logos that I include in future videos. I'm definitely going to mention them. There's going to be affiliate links and all that stuff because I really do appreciate their support. But I want you to know that they have no say-so in the creation of the videos or even what I use in the videos. It's all up to me to ask them, like, hey, could I check this out? That's exactly what I did with the Stingray. I wanted to check it out, and they sent me this as well as a Sterling Stingray, which is also very cool. So that's something else that I'll be covering in various ways. I couldn't have achieved this without your support. So your support means just as much to me as Zounds, which means just as much to me as my parents' support, my sister Ruby's support, my friends' support, because I really do enjoy making videos. And consistently throughout this last year, when everything felt like it was just going completely haywire for me, a consistent bright spot was being able to escape for a bit and check out the YouTube comments and respond to you all. I really cannot put into words how much it means. Just that you all are watching the videos and subscribing, it blows me away. But when I read the comments complimenting the videos, that's great. But what really touches me is when you all say, hey, I watched this and I bought this because of the video, or I bought this for my nephew because of the video, or I bought my daughter a Starcaster, or bought a first act for my uncle, or any of that. And it just means a lot to know that I could play a small part in that. I never set out to do this to be a salesman. I'm just really enthusiastic about gear. And I know I won't hold on to everything forever, so it's nice to be able to catch that moment in time. Now, for instance, it's neat for me to be able to go and look back at the Launchpad 95 video I made 10 years ago in my pajamas in my bedroom and remember that moment in my life and have that captured, because that video ended up changing my life. So it's very overwhelming that sharing my own experiences with gear and music and things that I'm passionate about can help anyone in any way. And just as overwhelming as all that is that a few people have even told me they were inspired to make a video because of mine. There's Rose, who mentioned me in an unboxing for a Jazzmaster. And then there's the Helping Hand channel. I was actually his first subscriber, which I'm very proud of. And if you're watching this, I love your videos, my friend, so please keep it up. I'm rambling at this point. This video's probably gone on way too long already, so I should start winding down. I just wanted to find a way to express to you how much your support has meant to me, not only through this last year with the point that I've been at in my life, but through all the years I've been doing this. And I want to let you know that moving forward, your support will mean the world to me if I'm lucky enough to maintain it. So thank you for that. And I, of course, want to thank Zounds and Billy personally. Billy, I don't know if you'll watch this. If you do, again, thank you so much. I know that there's people out there with more consistency in creating and uploading stuff and larger followings than I have, so I'm really humbled that you've given me this opportunity. And again, beyond all the material stuff, just having that conversation with you reaching out to me at that particular point in my life really did get me out of that downward spiral. So I've been looking back in this video, but it's time to start moving forward. I do have to backtrack one more time just to sort of pull that arrow back and fire us forward, because I mentioned that all this bad stuff had happened. It was a terrible year, but there was some good stuff too. I, of course, throughout the year kept writing music. I'm always writing music. Ironically, I never play any of it in videos. That's a little tidbit. Whenever you hear something original in a video, it's just something I've improvised with that piece of equipment when the camera's on. But I've been writing actual songs, and then aside from that, ever since the whole thing with the world happened in 2020, I started a pandemic project, as I imagine we all did. And that's an instrumental album, and I was lucky enough to do some writing and have Kelly Scott, one of my favorite drummers, drum on one of the tracks there. I've been making a lot of music, but I've also been making a lot of videos. I just haven't had the chance to edit them and post them like I mentioned. So there's a stockpile of stuff that y'all haven't seen yet, and I want to end the video by directing you to part 2 and walking you through some of that stuff that I filmed and didn't post, and plans that I have and had for some of that stuff, but mainly just giving you a tour of the gear itself.